to action.
Hi, good morning. This is Dante Ang, the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Manila Times. Welcome to the Manila Times Roundtable. We're fortunate to have today the Administrator of the Intramuros Administration, Atty. Guiller Asido. Welcome, sir.
Morning, sir.
We noticed that there are a lot of exciting things going on in Intramuros, and that's precisely what we want to talk to you about today. But before we delve into the questions, I think maybe the people, including us, need to know what exactly is IA. What is your role? Because there are many overlapping government, local, national in this area. But maybe tell us, what is it that you do? What is your mandate?
The Intramuros Administration is basically an attached agency of the Department of Tourism. So in a way, we report to the DOT. But we're celebrating already our 40th year this year. And
40th,
yes, based on our law that created the Intramuros Administration, our mandate is to ensure the orderly restoration and development of Intramuros. So it places value on the historical and cultural heritage value of the district. So we are basically tasked to ensure the restoration and development of Intramuros.
Wow.
So what is the relationship of the Intramuros Administration with the Manila City Government?
The City Mayor of Manila is a member of our Board of Administrators. So we have several government agencies that are also members of the Board of Administrators of Intramuros. So the chair is the Secretary of Tourism, then the City Mayor of Manila is a member, then we also have the Secretaries of Finance, we also have the NEDA Secretary General, the DPWH, the DOJ, and including the MMDA, plus our two other sister agencies from the Department of Tourism, the Tourism Infrastructure Enterprise Zone Authority and the Tourism Promotions Board.
So their presence there on your board is to support your projects alone?
Yes.
And what is the thrust of your development projects in the coming years, especially that we are going into the new administration of new Mayor Isko Moreno?
For the past 40 years po kasi, what we've noticed is that when we came in 2 years ago, is that there were many development plans that are already prepared for Intramuros. In fact po, tatlong development plans po ang nahanda. There was a plan.
All plans and no work.
In 1972, then there was a plan submitted sometime in the 1990s. And the last one was in around during the late 1990s din po. But unfortunately, because of budget and then transitional matters, most of the plans were not actually implemented. So what we did basically is to re-strategize po. First, provide the vision of what we see Intramuros should be in the, after the end of the term of the President. So within that context po, when we set the vision already, binalikan lang po namin yung mga lumang plano.
Okay.
And see from there what can we do already. Yung mga, we identified muna yung mga doables.
Because there are so many plans made before.
Yes.
So can you tell us the more immediate projects that the people will see happening in Intramuros?
Right now po, there are many infrastructure projects that are ongoing, not just inside but also outside the Intramuros po. Immediate perimeters outside. So, yung simpleng bagay lang po like the lighting, inaayos na po yun namin. And also yung pathwalks, yung mga green pathwalks outside.
Okay.
So, that was completed last year also. Then we also have, right now, tinatapos na po ng DPWH, yung re-landscaping of the Burgos and the Bonifacio Drive. Kasi po, natatabunan na tayo ng mga, marami pong bushes, shrubs na dun sa labas eh. So we're rationalizing po the trees there and then re-landscape them and then provide proper lighting. So expand it also na maging bike lane siya and a decent path.
Yeah, for many years that was a haven for homeless street dwellers. Pero I noticed that there were fewer people, which is good.
Simple lang nung ginawa namin, sir. Basically lighting. We just provided the proper lighting and then right now, ginagawa naman ng DPWH is to improve on the landscaping.
I guess the downside for golfers like myself, I lost my vendor there, dun sa, but I suppose that's what you call progress.
Yes.
But can you tell us what are for those who have not been to Intramuros for a while, what are the new attractions that you have? You came in during the after with the Duterte government.
Yes.
What are the new things that the visitors can see now that if they haven't been to Intramuros for a while? Maybe you want to talk about those.
What we are trying to provide po is the narrative for Intramuros.
Okay.
So, the narrative basically is very Filipino.
Okay.
So, like the museum that we opened right now.
The Intramuros Museum.
Yes, the Museo de Intramuros.
Museo de Intramuros.
That was a 40-year project po eh. It
I was on the board of that a few administrations ago, and like you said, we made many plans, but the government came and went, and there were there was no museum. I was actually glad to see that it's up and running now.
So what do you see inside the museum?
It's, from what may mga collections po kasi ang Intramuros Administration, collections that are basically ecclesiastical in character. But sabi po namin, it should not be limited only as an ecclesiastical museum.
Yeah.
It should be a reflection of what the Filipinos see. So ginawa po namin siya yung narrative is that this was basically a response of the Indios at that time, or the Filipinos at that time, to the evangelization. So makikita po nyo doon, not just ecclesiastical in character, but also unique character po that reflects the Filipino skills, artistry skills. Kaya meron po doon, like for example, mga angels, they are wooden figures po. But yung style po niya ay parang bulol sa north. And then you have images like for example na Chinese looking or Filipino looking po yung mga figures. So in a way, sinabi po namin that this is actually a reflection of the Filipinos' response to the evangelization period at that time. So hindi lang po sinasabi na we are just colonies, but we are actually providing our own narrative. Binigyan po namin ng storya kung ano po yung ginagawa ng mga Pilipino noon.
Yeah, Arnold, you're curious about another part of that general area.
Yeah, my is more general. Over the past few years, we've noticed that Intramuros has become, I might be wrong here, but mas maraming turista pupunta rito. Hindi na yung mga Pinoy, but foreign. But the problem is you have this area that's cramped and what are we doing in terms of accommodating, especially in terms of traffic? There was one time I think that there were 5 busloads of Chinese tourists that came and visited the churches. Gapang na from papasok pa lang dito. What are we doing about that issue?
Yung kung mapapansin po nyo kasi yung urban design ng Intramuros as a district, maliliit po yung kalye.
Yes.
So it was really meant for pedestrian and for smaller vehicles lang po. So nakita po namin yon, and actually there were plans before binalikan lang namin ulit yung dati. There was actually a World Bank 2014 study that said na ito yung mga areas dapat for pedestrian, ito yung areas that should be ayusin yung traffic. So, nirationalize lang po namin basically. So, right now po, ang ginawa namin is that we identified spaces na kung saan dapat parking. And then we work with the City of Manila, and then we also work with the barangays. And then the stakeholders inside po na dapat bawal ang parking dito, dito kayo pwede lang mag-park. Then for the buses naman, we do recognize yung issues dun So what we are encouraging them is basically drop off lang. So babalikan sila.
So okay yung ginagawa nila, pinapark sila dun sa gilid, malapit dun sa...
Malapit lang po dun sa that we see that way will not really cause traffic.
And I think the tourists would not mind walking a little bit to get to the churches, for instance, or whatever museums or structures they want to visit.
Actually, ang intention po namin talaga is like the major zone of Intramuros should be pedestrianized.
Okay.
We did a little experiment po nung Holy Week for the past 2 years.
Okay.
Na ginawa namin na whole stretch of Luna, yung Palacio del Gobernador
From Manila Cathedral
until the Department of Labor,
Labor,
fully
sinara nyo.
pedestrianized.
Okay.
Bawal pong
So what
sasakyan.
happened to that?
How was the
It was
experiment?
very successful naman.
Okay.
We were able to rationalize even yung placement ng mga vendors nung Holy Week.
But vehicles and big buses are still allowed on...
Na proper rerouting lang po
the-
nangyari. So, ang medyo na ano nga rin po is that when we did that little experiment nung Holy Week, last year when we had, the first time we did that, there were around 900,000 people who visited Intramuros, Holy Thursday and Good Friday. But this year, when we opened for the first time after the Second World War, 9 sites that people can actually visit for the Visita Iglesia. Tumaas po yung mga tao. We had a million
Visitors.
people.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
wala naman po kayong problema in terms of the traffic. Dahil
Right.
everyone was properly advised of the traffic rerouting, traffic
Right.
placement, and then yung pedestrianized rin siya. And everyone was actually walking along the street of
Yeah.
Luna.
We noticed that, half of the lane of General Luna is now devoted to pedestrians and I suppose bikers, and I know the Segway Segway, right? Is that did that start under your administration, or
Started-
one of those that you
Yes.
continued, or
That was started actually during the term of my predecessor.
Okay.
We decided to continue that already.
is there going to be more of that?
Yes. But what we're doing now po naman is that to, in a way, regularize that. Kaya like, when we will do our June 12 celebration here inside, again, the whole stretch of Luna will be pedestrianized with activities inside.
And it's interesting, your new Intramuros Museum. Not many people know there are actually several museums in Intramuros. There, of course, the San Agustin
Yes.
Museum, which is the church-owned, and then there's Bahay Chinoy, which is privately managed and
Yes.
operated. And then now your museum, which is for now free and open
Yes.
to the public. Is it going to remain free, or what is the long-term plan? And as I understand, we did a special report many years ago about the priceless artifacts,
Yes.
ivory carved figurines, silver that were borrowed by, we won't name former government officials, but some of them I hope came back to your possession.
Yung na-mention niyo po yung mga museums that are inside.
Yeah.
There's actually several museums din po eh.
Yeah.
So, ang ginagawa po namin is really to provide a network.
Papa.
We're launching on June 12 as well, a one-day pass that will allow you to visit 5 sites na.
Nice. So one payment and you
Yes,
you
you
see
get to
it.
visit everything.
Ah.
And that includes the 2 private museums like yung sinabi niyong Bahay Chinoy and the Distillery Limtuaco.
That's another one. That's another new
Yes,
one.
which
What about Fort Santiago?
Fort Santiago, Casa Manila Museum, which is operated by us, and then the Baluarte San Diego is part of the 5 na po.
Nice.
So for a discounted rate, you
Right.
get to visit the 5 in one day.
Yeah. Pardon my ignorance, meron ba tayong office or like any other site? You can come here.
A tourist.
Tourist, where, okay, what can I
information
do
booth.
in
Yeah.
Intramuros? And you can buy packages here. You want a church tour, there's a church tour here. You want to do the tour with the bikes. Meron na ba tayo? May plano tayong gawin?
Meron sir, there's already a site dun sa malapit sa Department of Labor, yung community center.
Yung dito sa
okay.
sa ilalim ng
Yeah, so
Akala ko parang
since
shop
nasa
lang.
gate siya, we're trying to develop that already as a hub for information tourism information.
That was open several administrations
Yeah,
ago,
diba?
and then disappeared.
Yes.
It's back again.
It's back again. So I'm glad it's being sayang. Andun na yung space.
So with all this revenue coming in under tourism, then Intramuros administration, the district itself, must be profitable around this time.
For the past 2 years, we've seen positive growth in the income of the Intramuros administration. Positive po in our sense kasi this is where we get the funds for our projects. we have the lowest budget po sa DOT agencies. So we try to live within our means and then try to work with other departments as well eh. So yun po yung ginagawa namin. Pero the context po basically is to ensure na magkaroon po talaga ng maayos na pagpaplano at implementation. So dahil po limited yung budget namin, for example, we work closely with the DPWH.
Right.
Then we are also working right now with the National Museum. Sa National Museum naman po, yung ginagawa namin project is, you're familiar po dun sa Gomburza Monument.
Yes.
Nasa harap ng National
Ng
Museum.
former Senate building.
Yes. So, ang ginawa naman po ng National Museum right now is to expand the Gomburza Monument into a
Nice.
public plaza.
That's nice.
And then from that plaza, you can actually cross already directly to the National Museum. So, tatanggalin na po yung sa center na ano po, that will actually allow
Minsan may
you.
mga barker doon na
Nagpapa-U-turn
turn for a small donation.
Wala na yun, mawala na po yun.
Ginamit mo na rin pala.
So it's going to be fully pedestrianized
Okay.
then. And yun po yung ginana namin access
Yeah.
Access is one major consideration. Dahil ang tingin po namin talaga is that Intramuros is not just part of, should not be seen by itself. It has to be a part of a greater network. So we are integrating all our plans din po with the National Museum, of course, Rizal Park, para po isang kompletong experience.
Isang complex.
Isa pong kompletong experience mangyayari if visitors will go to any of these sites.
Well, I know si William.
Sir, can you tell us
sa
about your short, medium, and long-term plans about Intramuros, and how much do you need to implement all of this?
Sir, yung short term namin, basically, when we came in nga po 2 years ago, na-identify namin agad yung doables. So yung doable was basically the traffic and mobility plan.
Okay.
And then we worked on the infrastructure requirements na sa lighting. And ang long term na po, medium term naman namin right now, is which we consider until the end of the President's term, is to work on the doables na rin. So yung addressing the informal settlers problem, and then working on, we've already done po yung opening ng Museo de Intramuros. Then the other major measurement of our success after the term of the President will be the opening of the Maestranza Creative Hub.
Wow.
Yung kapitbahay po nyo dito. So yung
which has been dormant for many administrations now.
yes. So we're completing the 25% of the walls
Of the
there.
area.
Kung yung Maestranza kasi part of the Intramuros walls po talaga yan.
Okay.
So may connection po talaga between that wall and the wall na nasa labas po So
Okay.
yun po yung long term naman namin na when ma-connect po, ma-complete yung last remaining 5% of the Intramuros walls.
Bubuksan
So
so
what's
na rin
gonna-
yung wall na to.
Yes. So
And what's
bubuksan
gonna
namin yung-
happen? What's gonna happen
What will
with
happen
the-
inside the Maestranza will
Maestranza.
be, it's 44 chambers po So it's 44 chambers po. Ang mangyayari po gagawin namin is that we will basically convert that, adaptively reuse those spaces as the creative hub. So na-approvean na po ng board of directors namin ito, and it's also been identified as a priority project of the Department of Tourism, that yung space po will be for a creative hub.
So these are for startups,
Design. Yes.
entrepreneurs.
Yes.
That's a great idea. Pero how did it come about po na yun ang magiging use nyo?
Binalikan po namin kasi ulit yung plano for the Maestranza.
Okay.
It actually started po, yung reconstruction started as early as, during the term pa po ni,
I think Mayor Atienza, if I am not, or even before that.
actually during the term of then Secretary of Tourism Richard Gordon.
Oh, wow, Philippines pa yun.
Nung Wow Philippines pa po
Yeah.
yun. And that project was supported by the Japanese government.
Okay.
So ginawa po namin, what was actually the plan after construction? Kasi nung tinignan po namin, we don't actually want it to be just another commercial space.
Right.
So it actually started in one afternoon po when we had a meeting this almost a year ago dito po sa Intramuros then with the Department of Trade and Industries Design Center of the Philippines, yung Executive Director, si Rhea Matute. And she brought along with that, during that meeting po, yung mga members of the Creative Economy Council of the Philippines.
Okay.
It's a private sector group, but they were basically responsible also for the designation of Baguio City as the UNESCO Creative City.
Okay.
So, napag-usapan lang po in one conversation, ano ba yung pwedeng gawin dito sa loob ng Intramuros pa? So, dinala po namin sila sa Maestranza. And to our surprise, nakita po nila yung full potential.
Yeah.
When we said na this should not just be seen as an ordinary space na commercial.
Yeah.
This can actually be some part of something bigger. So, doon po nakita na it can actually be part of the creative economy. So, as part of the creative economy, so that space po, yung 44 chambers, can be devoted as incubation for creative design.
So this is basically manufacturing?
No.
What
Hindi
kind
naman
of
po. It's
creative?
actually
Design.
lahat po ng aspects of design. From IT,
Kasamang
animation,
technology dyan.
technology. You can also have fashion, media. So the whole aspects of creative design and creative economy. So ang maganda po nito, historically rin po kasi, is that the Maestranza before was the hub for during the galleon trade.
Okay.
So since Pasig
Actually,
River,
Pasig,
Yeah,
Pasig
that's
Pasig
the port.
River siya.
No.
Yes.
Yun ang
So,
port nila noon.
before you can actually do trade papunta ng Mexico, dadaan po kayo sa Maestranza.
I see.
So, ang sabi po ng mga creatives from the creative economy is that it can right now, since globalization actually started sa that particular space of the Maestranza, we can actually now have a globalization of the Filipinos' ideas through
fantastic.
creativity. So, yan po yung nakita namin rin. That's the direction that we're now actively
So
pursuing.
who's going to finance the design of the building itself, the renovation?
Actually, there's budget po that was made available since the term of Senator Gordon.
Oh, wow.
Like
As far back then.
As far back then. Binalikan lang po namin talaga yung records.
So if I'm a young designer or a startup,
Yes.
well, what are the terms? So how do I take advantage? Oh, first of all, when does it open? And then what do I need to do to
Ang
to
priority right now po is to complete the last 25%.
Okay.
But through the Department of Tourism po, din po, and our Board of Administrators, we've identified mga 9 spaces already.
Okay.
Nagagawin na lang po namin yung
partial
interiors.
naman. Yeah.
Interior. And we hope to open this already by next year.
And then will they pay to work there, these young designers, or do they lease out?
Yeah, is it
or
like a lease or
lease ba yan, or
parang co-working space na
Co-working,
pumunta ka
yeah.
na lang doon?
Ideally, it will be a co-working space po na concept din eh.
but managed by this council, managed by IA, or
No, it's going to be managed by, of course, by Intramuros Administration.
Okay.
And then also by, through the advice of the Creative Economy Council, and then we'll work closely with DTI also.
And then the design center
This-
will hold office there, or they will,
Tinitingnan po namin kung
Oo.
ano pa po yung
because their office at the CCP complex looks pathetic, if I don't want to say so. I think they need a new working space also, but I guess that's not their fault, because
Yes.
it's one of those things that were neglected as well, and yet design is such a big thing in the global economy these days.
Yes, actually, if you see po, is kung magkaroon po ng convergence between the creative economy
Right.
and tourism, mas
Right.
lalang yung growth po mas maganda po yung contribution eh.
Right. I mean, I'm so glad, because not naman to criticize. There's some parts of the wall that have become food stalls.
Yes.
Especially in the around Mapua, Lyceum, that area. But I suppose there's a need, kasi the students have to have a place to eat that's affordable. Pero I think in editorials in the past we've argued that these should be organized at least somewhat like Makati has done it
Yes.
with its street vendors, diba? Na they're
A little
clean.
more organized.
Yeah, it's sanitary. There's water supply to clean the dishes. not like they batya na lang doon naghuhugas na.
Agree po.
Yeah.
That's why right now we're reorganizing naman in terms of the vendors,
Right.
yung street vendors. So ginawa po kasi ito before na ang ano po talaga is for livelihood.
Right.
But we're trying to rationalize that as well,
Right.
pati yung location nila.
Because there is a need naman talaga for
Yes.
for those things. It's just maybe
Proper placement,
proper
proper
management. That was
infrastructure.
the lacking part.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yun po yung binibigyan din namin ng solusyon na. But we're working on these street vendors para po may rin po is that we're working with the barangays.
Okay.
So we
How
ask,
many barangays are there in
there are
Intramuros?
5. Actually.
Wow, in a small area. Yeah, not many people know that Manila has 900 or 800 barangay.
What's the population now of Intramuros?
Yung both the formal and informal residents, there are roughly mga 8,000 po na residents.
8,000 lang.
That's an improvement from the 10,000 we heard a few years ago.
Yes.
But what's going to happen to the informal settlers? You have a plan for that as well, don't you?
It's an ongoing program now. Actually, since we came in, that's a major measurement of our success po.
Right.
So it's going to be a socialized housing program. And last March, we signed an agreement with the Socialized Housing Finance Corporation, yung SHFC, which is an agency attached to the HUD-C. Nung gagawin po natin is that we will work out a social housing program. So, nagsimula na po kami noon, implementation actually. Ang ginagawa po ngayon is trying to organize already the informal settlers properly. Kasi po, idea is that they will move in or to a socialized housing state. But yung management of that estate also, and including po yung process of identification of the sites,
Right.
we wanted na may part of the process sila.
Right.
Do the sites have to be inside Intramuros or not necessarily? They can
Due
move
to
out
space
elsewhere?
limitations po, I think may problems regarding sa inside. Kasi most of the sites where the informal settlers are located right now po are all privately owned.
I see.
So may
So they will
problema
have
po
to
na.
be moved out.
Apo.
Some
Yung
of them at least,
conditions
yeah.
po nila kasi are what we refer to as blighted.
Yes.
So we did actually there was a 2016 study done by UP Planades on the informal settlers. And all of them actually wanted for a good space, housing na po.
Oo.
So we are just
Sila
basically
mismo.
providing po the need as well.
But if memory serves, I think this is one of the stumbling blocks in previous years. Kasi
Yes.
this is where there was a contrast between the mandate of IA and the needs of the local politicians for votes. So that was where it was stuck.
Yes.
But are you getting the support you think now from the local government? Because the resistance was, well, they don't want to move their voters away. That hindered the relocation or the fixing of this issue na Are you getting the support now from the local government?
Yung for the support naman po, I think
No problem.
No problem naman. We have not encountered any problem so far in terms of
Si William, ilang beses na hold up yata. During all of the years I was covering the Department of Labor and COMELEC. No, William. I mean, you want to talk about your own experience?
Sa gabi, sir, medyo madilim pag lumabas kayo. So how do you do about that para maproteksyon na naman yung mga bumibisita sa Intramuros?
lighting, sir, sa loob. So actually from the side of Luna until Moralia, pinalitan na po namin yung inayos na po namin yung lights. And then, pero in long term po, or short term na ginagawa namin ngayon is the lighting of the walls. Para po for makita na rin, mas maliwanag din po. So I think that part, since that part of belongs to the golf course, ginaayos na po nila.
You're in coordination with
Yes.
them. So the golf course is, of course, managed by another agency.
Yes.
All right. Is it the Tourism Infrastructure?
Yes, the Tourism Infrastructure Zone Authority.
Zone Authority, which was formerly the
PTA.
PTA.
So, program, from what I heard, is that they're rehabilitating the golf course as well. And a critical component of that is the lighting of the whole course
Right.
as well. Para po magkaroon na rin ng night golf.
games.
Right.
There was
Night
night golf.
Years
During the time of FVR.
Yes.
Yeah, FVR.
And then when FVR stepped down, wala, sunset na ulit.
Kaya binabalik na po yung ano. Kasi there's, even the hotels around Intramuros see the potential po as well.
But going back to the informal settlers, I heard that there's also a program to educate them or
Yes.
teach them some livelihood. What are some of those programs that are being carried out?
One of that is, of course, inaano po namin yung basic skills nila.
Okay.
But what we are trying to do also is to provide assistance. Meron pong sa loob ng Intramuros yung Escuela Atelier Foundation.
Yes.
It's a foundation.
Spanish government.
Yes, supported by the Spanish Agency for International Cooperation. And they're actually into heritage structures po proper
Rehabilitation.
conservation, restoration. So, when we came in, sabi namin, dapat ang maunang-unang ma-benefit ito, yung mga taga-Intramuros.
Yeah.
Kasi ang idea rin po namin is that living inside Intramuros is actually a privilege.
Right.
It's a privilege po Kasi you're inside a historic
No
district.
offense meant for the other residents of Manila, but dapat priority yung nasa Intramuros.
Apo. And kaya sabi namin is that the people who are actually informally living inside is that if you provide them the necessary assistance and vision, like for example, if they're trained, for example, doon sa by Escuela Atelier, makikita po nila that there is really life outside the district then.
Right.
So, meron na pong for the past 2 years, may nag-graduate na po from
wow.
Intramuros. So, they were trained already on proper restoration, and many of, I think 4 of them are already working outside. So, nakita po nila the value of living inside the district. So, ngayon, part na rin po sila ng effort noon.
What kind of skills are taught po ba in Escuela Atelier?
Sa Escuela Atelier po, they're taught from the basic plumbing, electrical,
Okay.
then masonry, stone
Right.
masonry, and traditional restoration po So, yun po yung
Resource
tools.
skill.
Yes.
Sir, question. I suppose you have plans to rationalize the entire Intramuros na may mga parang district kayo, this
Yes.
religious So, there are kasi kumbaga we have a hodgepodge now. Museums are scattered. But among others, you have a lot of dormitories na yung mga manning agencies and mga
Yes,
seamen.
yes.
May dorms para sa mga estudyante. Kasama rin ba yun? Or do you see those manning agencies taking up that space again? Or
I think part of the rin po sila, urban fiber na ang maganda, ang inaayos lang po namin ngayon is that yung sa proper zoning, we do not want it na kami lang ang gumawa rezoning to or whatever. So what we did, binalikan ulit namin yung mga plano before, and we develop, instead of preparing another development plan, we're preparing right now a conservation management plan. Yung conservation management plan po is essential requirement po yun by UNESCO as well. Pero dito po sa conservation management plan po, our intention is to, in a way, update already our rules and regulations, policies that have been existing for the last 40 years. And may mga trends at mga pagbabago na po in terms of restoration So that is also what we wanted to provide. And to recognize as well that Intramuros is a living community. May mga nakatira po dito sa loob, may nag-aaral, many are working also.
Right.
So, yung CMP will update as well yung concerns regarding the design and yung urban identity and design of Intramuros.
I remember when Bambi Harper was administrator a few administrations ago, there was some talk being about maybe structuring Intramuros into quarters.
Yes.
That there'll be a Chinese quarter, a Spanish quarter, a Filipino quarter. Is this was considered as well in part of the planning, I guess, related to what
I think
Arnold
it's
was saying.
being considered po in terms of the preparation of the CMP.
Okay.
But
Because of one of our biggest frustrations was there was no good Chinese restaurant inside Intramuros. You had to go to Binondo to get some decent Chinese food. But there's, of course, a Spanish restaurant, right? There's some Filipino restaurants, but there was no, Chinese side, which was part of Philippine history as well.
So yung inaayos din namin talaga is to really provide the proper context to all of the developments right now.
Right.
Do you have a personal vision for Intramuros being the administrator?
Yes, well, actually the vision that we set, and this was approved by our Board of Administrators already, is that it's going to be an inclusive, dynamic, creative, and resilient Intramuros.
I noticed that one of the things, besides the facelift that you're working on, is that the administration itself has a new logo,
Yes.
a new look, essentially. Why is that? What's the rationale for that? And what's behind the new branding of Intramuros Administration?
We basically treat Intramuros right now as a product.
Okay.
As a product po, we had to go through a rebranding exercise.
Okay.
Pero yung rebranding din po yun, given the sensitivities din po, is that we must be consistent with history.
Okay.
So, inayos lang din po namin, and the target basically is introducing Intramuros to a new audience, yung tinatawag natin po mga millennials. And we don't want Intramuros to be identified only as
old.
As old na for cobblestones.
Sa akin naman magsalita.
And churches. So
Yeah,
what we
okay.
are really providing right now po is more reasons why people should visit. So we decided na to open Intramuros basically as a hub for the arts.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So-
Because also looking at the big picture, there might be a tendency for people like Filipinos,
Yes.
and also on from the perspective of the administrators, to isolate Intramuros as an independent district that operates on its own as a main tourist attraction. We should also keep in mind that Intramuros is part of Manila, and Manila being the seat of government. Intramuros is really a symbol for the whole Philippines in terms
Yes.
of our history, which is very rich, where the wars happened. And so right now, what I'm saying is Intramuros should not really act like it's on its own. Like, we are so proud because Intramuros is the center of history and center of arts and culture and tourism in the Philippines. How are you making sure that that is not going to happen?
It's part of our vision po of inclusivity. So part of that po is working closely with the stakeholders, and we do recognize po na hindi lang kami stakeholder dito.
Yes.
There are businesses, there is government, there are residents, schools, universities. So that's part of the effort po . And what we're seeing right now po is a collective effort na. Everyone is, in a way, trying to help each other in terms of projecting the image of...
But in the past, that has been part of the problem, right?
Yes.
Because, pardon me for saying so, but one of the things, for instance, is the lack of police presence in Intramuros, despite the fact that there are many petty crimes, probably attributable to the informal settlers, diba? And I guess because they're attracted also to tourists coming in. So, but like I said, how is the cooperation between your agency and the local government? Are they obligated to give more security or more police presence now that you are getting more tourists? Kasi that's one thing that's going to be needed as more people come in, right?
We started with the basic unit po of the local government with
Right.
the barangays.
Okay.
So para hindi naman namin bigyan na masyadong headache ang City of
Ang City
Manila.
of Manila, yeah.
Dahil given the
problems.
So we started working with the basic units.
Okay.
So yung barangays.
At least there's 4 of them.
Yes.
I didn't realize there.
So, ang unang-unang pong ginawa dito when we came is to visit each one.
Okay.
Talaga pong pinuntahan namin bawat isang city, yung barangay.
Alright.
Pinuntahan po namin yung barangay hall itself. And then we introduce ourselves. Ito yung gusto namin mangyari, ito yung
Okay.
pwede natin pagtulungan. And right now po, they're part of the process, the decision-making process.
Right.
We started this with the traffic. Then
Okay.
we started this with the sa
The
regular
Holy Week, yeah.
Holy Week, mga programs, events. And right now, we're moving already naman doon sa vendors. Yung pag-identify po kung sino yung mga vendors and their proper locations. So, from that basic unit po, we started working with them. Sa security naman, we coordinate also closely with the PNP.
Okay.
And then, like other security agencies din po eh. So,
And not
the-
just within Intramuros, but especially the perimeter.
Yes, yes.
I remember the time before you started working on the lighting to improve that. There was a lot of, those are scary places to go to because madilim.
Ang ginawa naman po namin, ni-rationalize namin yung private security agency namin.
Okay.
Yung placement, yung security placement. But again, we work that also with the barangays.
I
Para alam
see.
namin kung ito yung pwedeng kayo na magbantay,
Right.
ito naman yung kami.
Right.
Para at least rationalize yung trabaho natin lahat.
So exactly, those are the mutual concerns shared between Intramuros and
Yes,
the
ma'am.
Manila City Government. Have you made any contacts with the new mayor, Isko Moreno, and
We're
what coordination
we're
are you?
still waiting for yung that proper time.
Sasabihin ni Isko, alam ko na po yun.
But I think since he sits in
He
sa
knows the
member
problem,
board,
yeah.
he knows po the
You were saying earlier that he will be taking his oath as the new
from what we
mayor
heard po is that he'll
in
be
Intramuros.
Yes, apo.
When is that going to happen?
June 30.
Okay, so what preparations have you made so far?
I think sa labas naman po kaming but the preparations are being made by STEAM already.
So,
for
your role,
ayuntamiento.
so for people like that and others who want to have activities, so you're the one, your agency is the one that issues permits.
Yes.
So not the local government, is that
May-
or both? Or?
Actually, may kasunduan pa po nung time ni Mayor Bagaching that in terms of the permits and licensing, before any business establishment can be issued a business permit, dapat po bibigyan namin ng
They go
locational
through,
clearance
yeah.
para po consistent din with our vision of what Intramuros should be.
Right.
Pero ginawa po namin right now when we came in is to be more aggressive in terms of coordination.
Right.
Pati yung po doon sa issuance ng locational clearances. So we did a business mapping. In-identify po namin sino po ba yung mga wala talagang locational clearances.
I see.
Sinabihan namin ng City of Manila.
I see.
Baka naman pwede sabihan nyo sila na talagang dumaan muna sa amin.
Right.
And that was naayos naman po siya.
Okay.
So right now, we've seen a number of establishments na talaga pong consciously pumupunta na po
They
sa
recognize
amin and
you.
they're applying for the locational clearances.
Isko Moreno's thrust, he said, for his new government is the cleanup of Manila. That Intramuros should benefit from that.
Yes, actually we
will you
share
be-
the same vision.
What about Secretary Puyat's mandate? What's her instruction to you with regard to the development of Intramuros?
Ang DOT po under kay Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat is very active po in supporting us.
Okay.
So actually, si Secretary Berna is leading the way for us in terms of giving us directions on what Intramuros should be. Madalas po siyang bumibisita dito as well to see what is happening, and then we provide also as well regular reports to her.
Yeah.
And then being at the cabinet level, she also helps us in coordination with other government agencies para po mas mapabilis din yung implementation of projects.
So seamless ang trabaho from local to
Yes.
national.
Tama.
I'm glad because in the past I I'm sure many of you guys have visited Vegan as well. So I mean, I used to. I remember when I visited Vegan. Vegan was why can the provincial local government do it, and Intramuros, has been falling behind, and yet we have more to offer, a bigger area actually than Vegan.
So, all of the efforts right now po, ang nagiging namin is that hopefully we will be able to institutionalize already. So yung
Not to take away from anything from Vegan, but
yes. Well, actually, tinitingnan po namin talaga siya
As a model.
as a model and also as a template. So, what we are trying to do right now po is that since we are a national agency, institutionalize all of the programs, policies, para to ensure that kung ano naman po after the next administration, makita nila that it's something really that we can work on already as well.
One of the things, I don't know, William, I don't know if you've heard, what's going to happen to the Bureau of Immigration? I heard that there will be movements or that agency or that bureau will be relocated. Is that true? And what are the plans for that space?
There have been talks po, but we have not received formal communications. But we know that is already a plan for the movement of the Bureau of Immigration. So, ang plano po, nag-advance planning na rin kami, is to reconstruct already the last remaining walls of Intramuros. Kasi kung nasan po yung immigration, also
around that National Press Club, that area.
The National Press Club po, hindi naman po siya
hindi na. So that's outside.
Yes. So we will reconstruct the last remaining walls. Kukonect po namin siya dito sa Maestran sa walls.
Okay.
And then use that space as a public space, a public park.
Will that happen this year?
It will all depend po dun sa of course sa movement ng immigration. But we're doing the advanced planning already. Actually, we're working with Architect Paolo Alcazarin para po makita yung improvements. And so, if the time comes, we're ready already with the programs. And ang napag-usapan namin is that regardless of whether they move or not, we should do the landscaping already of that particular area.
I see. And going back to Arnold's concern about traffic and parking, I remember there were plans in previous administrations to bury the cable and electrical wirings on Intramuros. Where is that now in your program?
It's a priority project din po. But what we identified po muna is to look at the areas where we can do the underground cabling.
Okay.
So we've identified A. Soriano, the Duana.
Right.
That means the Manila Times is
Yes,
going to be affected.
Can we
for
rename that the Manila Times? How do we go about that?
So, going to General Luna. So yung tourism zone,
the main
zone.
entrance to Aduana Gate.
Yes. So yun po yung areas for underground cabling. We have the plans and budget na lang po inintay namin in terms of support.
And is that the budget for 2019 or 2020?
We have submitted a request to the DBM for support. Hopefully, we'll get it. But if not, we'll work through some other agents with it.
Interesting.
Wow.
Interesting.
So there will be worse traffic in the months to come, in the year to come?
It's actually, we've factored everything na muna po in terms of course, we don't want any serious implications naman po sa businesses inside.
When you mentioned you wanted drop-off points, I noticed also Intramuros has I think at least a year now has this electric
e-trike.
The e-trike.
Yes.
Is that under your agency or is that operated by a private and for people visiting Intramuros? I haven't tried it myself, but is that free or do you pay or what's the system there?
It's actually a project po supported by the Japanese government. It's privately run, but it's supported by the Japanese agency as well. So, ang reason naman po is that maayos po yung mobility as well.
I see.
But ang maganda po dun sa e-trikes, they're smart e-trikes po.
Okay.
Ang maganda po doon is that may GPS siya, and then name-measure po niya yung volume.
Okay.
People using, and then
Okay.
the number of stops,
Okay.
and also pati po yung speed. They're all properly measured. So yung dahil din po doon, nalalaman nila kung ilan po ba dapat ang vehicles that are running inside.
Okay.
Are you going to keep the kalesas or are
And the
they-
pajaks, the
Or
pedicabs.
are they going to, because kalesas add to the charm of Intramuros, we
Yes.
must admit. But eventually, are they going to be replaced or they will be kept as
Hindi
part
naman.
of history?
Wala naman pa. As part of our there's that recognition that they're part of history and they're part of the urban fiber na eh.
Okay.
But tapusin ko lang po ito sa e-trikes. Yung access po inaayos din namin. So for example, the e-trikes right now can be used through beep cards.
Cards, yeah.
Okay.
Yung as part of our branding, may ginawa po kaming beep cards.
Okay.
Yeah.
But with these beep cards
You
naman
may
po,
show
I'll
to
show
the
to
camera.
this cam.
so with these beep cards, you can actually access already the sites in Intramuros. Electronically na po. Loadable siya, and then you can actually
Baka pwede po natin sama yung subscription dyan para... Joke lang.
so maka-access nyo na po yung Fort Santiago, Casa Manila,
All of the
Baluarte San
museums.
Diego, and also the 2 other museums. And then
That's nice,
po, the e-trikes. And this can actually be used sa LRT, MRT, and then sa P2P buses.
How much does it cost?
And also actually we're giving this out for free.
Yung
Pagka
load
may
mo na
mga
lang.
events lang po kaming ginagawa.
What about the pedicabs? I noticed that some of them carry these laminated
Yeah,
photos, I guess, with attractions. Na ganyan.
Yes.
Is that your initiative as well? Or
Luma
Or
na
before?
po yun eh. Actually,
Oh, luma na.
Luma na po siya. But we're trying to
Are you
update
keeping
them as
that
well.
system also?
Ang idea, ang nangyayari po namin ngayon ay ma-train sila properly.
Okay.
Ma-train po sila
As
properly.
tourist guides,
As community guides din po.
community guides.
But we have been there's been discussion already with the DOT kung paano po maayos din sila.
Yeah.
Kasi not all of them can be tour guides.
Alright.
Meron din po recognition na there are some that are actually mas comfortable na maging for
talagang nagpe-ferry lang sila ng
nagpe-ferry
tao.
lang sila ng tao.
Yeah.
So, na-train po sila before, but we're discussing with DOT kung ma-identify kung sino po ba yung mga pwedeng talagang guides
Right.
para po mas maayos din po yung sistema nila. And then for the kalesas, maayos naman, ang ano po nga namin ngayon, inaayos po namin yung movements nila.
Okay.
Para hindi po rin sila saan-saan. And then also yung pagtawag po nila. So we're discussing them. In fact, we're meeting with them this Friday. Tingnan po, baka pwede naman pong meron na lang silang central station.
Oh, okay.
Tatawagan na lang sila. if there
Ano
is
siya,
a need.
what do you call it?
Yeah,
PTX?
that's a good idea. And they should be provided the GPS as well.
A GPS.
Ganun po, ganun.
And kalesas.
But
2 minutes away.
kalesas po
May,
now.
may grab na din yung
Grab
pedicab.
kalesa.
Pedicab.
Well,
Okay.
Nung sa Kalesa po, una tinignan din namin is compliance with the Philippine Animal Welfare
Of course,
Law. So, actually, magugulat po kayo. Sa loob po ng Intramuros, yung mga kalesas, yung mga kabayo pong ginagamit, ano po yan, properly identified.
Oh.
So,
May ID.
Yes po. Kinuha na namin ng picture yung kabayo para sigurado yung hindi na papalitan.
Wala colorum na kabayo.
Wala pong koloro. And then, require po namin sila also na talaga may proper certification from the veterinarian. In fact po, may nag-volunteer na vet po coming from the Manila Polo Club. Yung doktor po doon.
Okay.
Sinicertify po niyan every year
Wow.
that the horses that they are using are actually physically fit.
Yeah, dapat.
And before we actually register them po, hinahanap po namin yun. And then, yun po talagang main consideration.
Buti naman walang requirement na dapat English speaking.
Hindi,
Yung mga
Espanyol.
horses.
Espanyol daw.
Meron naman pong mga kalesa that are actually, dahil po sa tagal na rin nila,
Right.
nakakapagsalita na po sila ng Korean, Chinese.
Because sila sa mga tourists.
Yes.
Sanay na.
So, yung naman po sa pedicabs, ito po, with the participation ng barangays, na-require namin, and this we've been very strict, na kailangan po lahat ng pedicab drivers, hindi lang po may barangay clearance,
Okay.
but we require them also to submit a drug-free certification.
Yes, sir. Pero that's only for the ones here. But what about, let's say, for example, yung mga pedicabs na galing City Hall na natatawid
usually, hindi po
pa
namin
against
sila-
sa traffic para daling ka lang dito.
Actually, hindi namin po sila pinapapasok na sa loob.
Talaga?
So, pati po yung mga kalesas outside,
Oo, yung
dahil
mga
hindi
galing.
namin sila properly regulated.
Oh, okay. So they have to be registered with,
Yes.
okay.
Kasi in a way, para po yung kultura rin na makita nila that people are actually disciplined. Makita po nila properly regulated sila. Ma-appreciate din po ng iba eh.
What about moving forward, Administrator? This year, what are some of the things that you are working on for implementation or execution this year? Or what are some of the activities that you're looking at?
So, for the past months po, we've been very busy with the 40th year anniversary. So, what we've been doing naman po is to, naging main po namin is the opening of the Museo de Intramuros. But aside from that, may regular events kami.
Right.
And this is, again, all part of our branding exercises.
Right.
So, tinitignan po namin that all programs po talaga, as a matter of policy, should be consistent, not just with the branding, but also with our vision. So, for example po, yung sa June 12 na Independence Day, we declared it as a Freedom Day sa Intramuros. So, free po yung yung BAM bikes that are going around.
The
How would be
bamboo
free?
bicycles.
May ilang and there are a certain number of bikes that will be made free and available.
I see.
And then we are also opening up for free for Santiago.
Oh.
And then
On June 12.
On June 12.
Okay.
And then may mga bazaars
I see.
that are also, we said that you can come here.
It's a good idea. The suggestion to have a centralized, like an information center
Yes.
for
Yeah, that's what
Intramuros. Yeah, that's
Arnold
what
was
he was saying
yeah.
earlier. And where tourists or even locals can come and just, a one-stop shop or
Yes.
something, a center where they can learn what they can do for the day, for
Yes.
example, or if they are staying in a nearby
Yes.
hotel, what sort of activities
Yes.
they can expect.
Actually, even without the Tourism Information Center, ang ginawa po namin is that we prepared a walking map. Dito po sa walking map na to, it's also part of our branding. Makikita po is that, again, this is part of our creative rebranding. Makikita na po dito is where to shop, and then where you can actually stay, and then where you can actually eat. So, inisa-isa po namin kung saan kayo pwedeng pumunta eh. And then where you can actually visit. So, it's a comprehensive discussion na po kung ano po talaga pwedeng gawin
Right.
sa loob ng Intramuros.
Right.
Part
And
of
I
our
understand you
branding.
have also other attractions like the Bahay Chinoy and
Yes.
the distillery
Yes.
museum's also free on June 12.
Yes, free rin siya on June 12.
Wow.
And then,
Unfortunately.
nung mahalaga pong also event is that we're having a free concert on June 12
Saan naman po gagawin?
sa Puerto Real Gardens.
Puerto Real.
Puerto
Ang
Real.
maganda po dito is
Who are
that
going to perform?
the artists that will be performing are Filipino bands. And
Nice.
then, galing po sa loob ng Intramuros.
Nice.
We're encouraging the college bands
Nice.
bands po inside Intramuros, Filipino students, to actually come out and show their talents. Part of the program as well are the bands that actually were part of the Intramuros Rising event po before. Several years po kasi before, merong tinatawag na concert na Intramuros Rising. At ito po yung nagbigay ng buhay dun sa mga bagong mga bands that are already popular right now.
Right.
Like Ben and Ben. So, yung mga banda po that actually started noon are actually coming back and to perform as well.
Wow, interesting. You know, I should, you know, I guess for sake of transparency, Manila Times is also and you know, shameless plugging. Manila Times is also having its own affair coming up on June 12. So this is open to new and veteran artists. We call it Intramuros on Canvas. So I want to thank you for allowing us to have this, so artists will be able to do spot painting of different aspects of Intramuros for free between June 12 and June 30, and that their works, if they so wish, will be exhibited in the Manila Times building and in July, hopefully from July 1 to July 20. I want to thank you for allowing us to do that, but I think, as we said in our request, this is something that will not only promote the arts, but also, I guess, add to the attractions of Intramuros, having spot painters around the city. Thank you for that, Administrator.
Thank you, sir. Ang idea po namin talaga really is to treat Intramuros as a canvas.
Apo.
It's an open canvas where artists can actually exhibit.
Ang request lang po nila, wala po ba daw air conditioning, pero hindi naman po namin kontrolado yung spot painting ko sa sila.
Actually, yun din po in-encourage namin. Kasi in a way, when they do the image already, consciously, nakakaintindihan din po nila yung value of the place. So, magtatanong po siya siyempre sila bakit ito pinili nila or ano po ba yung ibig sabihin nung if they want to paint the Manila Cathedral.
Right.
Pag-aaralan po nila yan in a way also.
Have you adopted any formal or informal slogan for Intramuros? Like you said, for the music
logo,
thing,
is there
you have
new?
Intramuros Rising for the music, the bands, but for the whole of Intramuros and its program.
May interest kaya ta sa band, Mary?
Hindi naman.
Mary used to more musical in her past.
Hindi banda.
Hindi banda.
We are adapting po and consistent dun sa branding po namin. We are adopting the hashtag na We Are Intramuros.
We are Intramuros.
Yes. And that's a recognition po as well that not just of the value of the place, but also the aspect na every Filipino should appreciate Intramuros. So dito po kasi nagsimula lahat during the colonial period. But even before the colonial period po, there's a recognition also historically na andito na po yung mga first ancestors, like before Fort Santiago became a Spanish fort. Nandiyan po sira Suleiman, sira Matanda. So historically marami po dito po talaga nagsimula lahat And during the 300 years and even of Spanish period and even after up to even the American period, nandito rin po yung center of government, center of faith, and center of public administration.
Well, Administrator, thank you very much. You know, I think would love to ask you a few more questions, but you know, I think we'd have to end the program there. Thank you very much, my colleagues, and you know, maybe we'd like to have you back when there are more projects being started and get some more updates from you. We're particularly interested in this My Strands concept because that's going to be
right behind.
right behind. Maybe in the future, in front of us now, because the perspective is now turning to the river now.
Yes.
Well, definitely for the inauguration of the hub, we would love to be there and be part of it. Actually,
when we had the first meeting with Clink, ang nakita po namin, actually tinanong ko na rin po Manila Times is part of Philippine history. Acknowledge, naman po yun. And I've seen po yung exhibit nyo of yung front page covers.
Oh yes.
For every
old issues.
Yes, the old issues until the present of every president's first day in office. Actually, sabi ko nga po, maganda po yun siya in terms of an exhibit Kasi it places not just value on what the Manila Times is doing, but also on the value of Manila Times itself. historically speaking, na talagang witness po siya for the longest period of our history.
122
doon
years.
Sa, sa museum.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pwedeng lagay.
Yeah. Sama na yung subscription. Thank you very much, Administrator, and good luck to you. And keep us posted on your exciting projects.
Thank you,
Maraming salamat po. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
All right.